For 22 years, he kept quiet and endured. He made tea for the team every morning and remembered how much sugar each person took. And they left him to die on the 47th floor without even looking back. And at that very moment, the gray window decides he has been silent for too long. The Bone Reaper's scythe falls upon Kai Morgan's throat. The world freezes. Kai lies on the floor of the 47th floor of the Black Spire, with a broken spine and blood already cooling on the stones. 10 meters away, his crew rummages through a chest. The archer, Mina, is counting coins. The healer, Talia, stands with her back to him, her shoulders trembling. Perhaps from shame. Kai doesn't care anymore. Aiden Kale stands frozen at the exit, in gleaming armor, waiting for the Reaper to finish. Because Kai is just a job, a damage sponge, a disposable asset. The guy who remembered that Talia likes 2 spoons of sugar. And at the last moment, a window opens before his eyes. Not golden like everyone else's in Ayrton, gray, dull, as if it had waited too long and grown tired of waiting. Hidden status activated, damage return. Damage taken is converted into a permanent stat boost, and at the bottom, in small print, you've been silent for too long. The scythe strikes his chest, ribs crack, but the gray window flashes and his defense stats jolt upward. The Reaper strikes again and again. Each blow breaks something inside him and immediately rebuilds it. This isn't healing, it's a restructuring. The bones fuse more tightly. The body finally takes on the blueprint it was meant to have from the very beginning. On the 11th blow, Kai stops feeling pain. His defense surpasses the Reaper's damage. On the 12th, the scythe touches his shoulder and leaves not even a scratch. The Reaper freezes, stares with empty eye. Then he crumbles into dust, quietly, without a flash. Kai sits alone on the floor where his wounds have already healed. He opens his status and sees numbers that not even Aiden with his S rank possessed. Defense, willpower, regeneration, everything is rising and continues to rise. Kai doesn't scream. He doesn't cry. He laughs, quietly, like a man who has finally understood the rules of a game he's been losing his whole life. He stands up. His back is straight for the first time in 22 years. Not because he decided to stand up straight. His body has readjusted, and slouching is now physically uncomfortable for him. The team is long gone. They took the artifact and left. No one has returned. Kai climbs the 47 floors alone. Monsters huddle against the walls as he approaches. Animals always sense when something changes in the food chain. He emerges from the rift onto the surface. The sun stings his eyes. Gorvin is sitting by the receptionist's booth. The double-chinned bureaucrat who kept Kai waiting in lines for 3 years and called F-rank tanks trash. Gorvin smirks. Oh, the sack is back. And where are the heroes? He's ruined everything all by himself again. He jabs Kai in the chest with a pen, the way you poke an object to check if it's broken. Only today, Kai doesn't back down. He catches the hand with the pen, squeezes it. The pen snaps. A drop of someone else's blood on his palm. Gorvin's smirk fades. Kai speaks quietly. I'm sorry, I'm having a strange day today. Can I get a survival certificate and skip the line? I'm very tired. Gorvin silently fills out the form and stamps it. 30 seconds. In 3 years, Kai has never received a certificate faster than 4 hours. In the hallway, he leans against the wall and closes his eyes. His hands aren't shaking. For the first time in 22 years, his hands aren't shaking. I didn't want to scare him. I just don't want to wait anymore. It's evening outside. The capital of Ayrton hums with ethereal trains over the rooftops. The streetlights glow with the blue light of mana. No one looks at the skinny guy with dried blood on his face. It's a rarity in Ayrton not to have blood on your face. It's a rarity for a person like that to smile. To everyone who knew K. Morgan, the F-rank tank, he died on the 47th floor. An accident. Insufficient rank. The guild offers its condolences. There is no apartment left. There is no team left. There is no name left. Kai stops by a street light and looks at his hands. Calluses from a shield that is no longer there. And beneath the old skin, new skin. Thick, smooth, like armor pretending to be skin. He clenches his fist. The lamppost hums and the metal bends. Kai unclenches his hand and walks away. No, not now, not like this. He doesn't know what to do next. For the first time in his life, it doesn't scare him. He heads to Lower Ellsworth, a neighborhood where decent heroes don't venture, where no one will ask why there's blood on your shirt. He finds a cheap flophouse, pays with his last coins, lies down on a cot that smells of dampness. A gray window flickers in the darkness beneath his eyelids. The numbers keep climbing. Kai falls asleep for the first time in 3 years without fear that tomorrow will be worse. Because it's already been worse. And he survived it. Kai wakes up to the sound of someone banging on a pipe 1 floor above. A rhythmic, dull sound, like a metronome. He opens his eyes and for a second doesn't realize where he is. The ceiling is low. The walls are damp. It smells of mold and boiled cabbage. The flophouse in Lower Ellsworth, that's right, he's alive. It still surprises him. Kai sits up on the cot and checks his status. The gray window opens obediently. The numbers have stabilized overnight. Defense, resistance, regeneration, willpower. Everything is significantly higher than it was yesterday morning. But the strangest thing isn't the numbers. The strangest thing is the line at the bottom that he didn't notice yesterday. Stealth mode is active. External status is displayed as before, F rank. Defense 6, attack 4. To anyone trying to read his status from the outside, Kai is still a sack of potatoes. A skinny, useless tank that no one would mind losing. Kai looks at that line and exhales slowly. He doesn't know who or what created this system, but it understands the rules of this world better than Kai himself. In Ayrton, the strong are destroyed. Not monsters. People. Guilds. Crowns. If his real numbers were made public, they'd find him by the end of the week. Not to bring him back. To eliminate him. Kai stands up. His body responds in a new way. Before, every morning began with pain in his knees and a creak in his lower back. Now, nothing. His muscles work smoothly. His joints move smoothly. He still looks the same. Skinny, short, veiny hands. But underneath the skin, everything is different. Like a house where they replaced the foundation but left the wallpaper untouched. He steps out of the flophouse into the gray morning of Lower Ellsworth. The neighborhood is waking up slowly. There are no etheric lanterns here. The light here is ordinary, oil lamps and candles. Mana is expensive. F ranks earn little. The streets are narrow. The houses stand so close together that from the balcony of one, you can reach out and touch the wall of another. Cats and rats the size of cats roam below. Lower Ellsworth is the bottom of the capital, a place where those whom the ranking system has deemed waste gather. Tanks below C rank, mages without mana, scouts without skills, healers who've been expelled, people with empty stats. They're all here. And Kai is here now too. He walks down the street counting his money. There's almost none left. Enough for 3 days if he doesn't eat. 2 if he eats once a day. He needs a job. Not as a hero, not as a tank, as a person. Kai stops in front of the window of an old shop. Dusty tools in the window. Hammers, pliers, files. The shop is closed. A sign on the door. For rent. Rent is 4 silver coins a month. Kai looks at the sign, then at his hands, then back at the sign. 4 silver coins is half an F rank's monthly salary. Kai doesn't have a single one. But in his hands are 22 years of muscle memory. He repaired equipment for Silver Dawn every evening, not because he was asked to, because there was nothing else to do while the others dined in restaurants on their earnings. Kai sharpened swords. He patched chainmail. He restrung bows. He did it quietly in a corner of the barracks, and no one ever said thank you because no one knew he was doing it. They thought the swords sharpened themselves. Kai knocks on the door of the house next to the shop. An old man in a nightcap opens the door. The landlord. Kai says he wants to rent the shop. The old man looks down at him, asks what his rank is. Kai says F. The old man snorts, says the last tenant was also F rank, a blacksmith without the class of a blacksmith. He went broke in 2 months because no one brings orders to an F rank. Kai says he doesn't need big orders. He'll fix small things, the stuff heroes throw away and people from the lower city pick up but don't know how to fix. The old man stares at him for a long time. Then he says 2 silver coins for the first month. If Kai doesn't pay 4 in a month, he'll evict him without a word. Kai agrees. He doesn't have 2 silver coins, but he nods. He'll find them. The old man hands over the key. Kai enters the shop. Dust, cobwebs, a broken workbench, a leaky roof through which the gray sky is visible. In the corner, a rusty anvil that the previous owner couldn't carry out because it weighs as much as 3 men. Kai approaches the anvil. He places his palm on it. The metal is cold and rough, but sturdy. The anvil has outlived 2 owners and will outlive a third, unless the third proves more stubborn than it. Kai takes off his shirt. He grabs a rag. He starts cleaning up. For 3 hours, he washes the floors, takes out the trash, and patches the roof with scraps of tin he found in the backyard. By noon, the shop looks like a shop. Shabby, empty, but clean. Kai finds a piece of wood. He takes a nail and carves letters into it. Morgan. I fix everything that's broken, except for people. People take longer. He hangs the sign above the door. He stands on the street and looks at it. The sign hangs crooked. The letters are crooked, but they're there. The first day passes without any customers. Kai sits at the workbench and goes through the tools left behind by the previous owner. Half of them are broken. Half can be fixed. He fixes them. The second day also passes without any customers. Kai goes out onto the street and offers to fix something for passers-by for free. The passers-by look at him suspiciously. Nothing is free in Lower Ellsworth. You always pay for free stuff later. On the third day, a boy of about 10 comes in. He brings a broken knife. The blade has snapped off the handle. The boy says it's his father's knife. His father was a D-rank adventurer. Was. The boy doesn't specify what happened. No need. In Airtan, if someone says, "My father was an adventurer," everyone understands what happened next. Kai takes the knife. He examines it. The blade is good. Steel from the rift. Strong. The handle has dried out with age. Kai could simply glue the blade back on. That would be quick. Instead, he asks the boy which hand his father used to hold the knife. Right or left? The boy says left. Kai asks if his father had a large hand. The boy shows his own and says his father's was just like this, only bigger. Kai nods. He carves a new handle from a piece of ash wood. He shapes it to fit. He makes indentations for the fingers, left-handed. a large hand. He works for 2 hours. The boy sits nearby and watches intently. When Kai finishes, the knife looks better than new. The boy takes it in both hands. He presses it to his chest. He asks how much. Kai says nothing. The first order is free. The boy leaves. An hour later, he returns with a pot of soup. He says his mom sent it. Kai eats the soup in the empty workshop behind a rusty anvil. The soup is thin. Potatoes and onions, nothing else. It's the most delicious soup he's ever eaten in his life, because someone made it for him, not him for someone else. By the end of the first week, Kai has 4 customers, all from neighboring houses, all minor repairs. A cracked shield, a bent helmet, torn straps. Kai fixes everything. He charges very little. Sometimes he takes food instead of money. The workshop starts to smell of metal and oil. Kai buys a small burner and a teapot. He sets them up by the entrance. He pours tea for every customer. Most refuse. Some agree. One old adventurer sits with a cup for half an hour and tells stories about the rift from which his partner never returned. Kai listens. He doesn't interrupt. He doesn't offer comfort. He just listens. The old man leaves and says he'll stop by again. At night, Kai lies on a mattress in the back room behind the workshop and stares at the ceiling. The gray status window flickers in the darkness. The numbers aren't rising. There's no one to beat, no one to hurt. The system is silent, and Kai catches himself having a strange thought. He's glad it's silent. Because if the system is silent, it means there's no one nearby who wants to harm him. For the first time in his life, this is true. For the first time, there are no enemies around him. Only silence. The workshop, the smell of metal, a kettle on the burner, and a sign above the door that hangs crooked but is firmly attached. In the second week, a girl enters the workshop with a cracked staff in her hands. The staff is old. The wood is darkened by time. At the top is a murky green stone with a crack running right through the center. The girl is short. Her dark hair is pulled back in a ponytail. Her eyes are tired. Her clothes are simple but clean. On her shoulder is a bag with the spines of books sticking out. She places the staff on the workbench and says she needs it repaired. He takes the staff. He examines it. The crack in the stone is deep. The wood has split in 3 places. The pommel is barely holding on. The staff once functioned as a focusing tool for healing magic. Now it barely focuses anything. Kai asks where the staff came from. The girl is silent for a second. Then she says it's from her mother. Her mother was a military healer. Was. Kai doesn't ask any further. He asks something else. Which hand does she hold the staff with? Her right. How high? Right here, at shoulder level. How far from her body? Like this, she demonstrates. Kai watches. He memorizes it. He asks how many hours a day she heals. She replies that she doesn't heal. She doesn't heal anymore. She was expelled. Kai looks up. She looks away. She says her name is Lena Park, that she studied to be a healer at St. Jerome's Academy, that during her final exam she was ordered to heal an officer and leave a soldier behind. Both were dying. She healed both of them. Both survived. She was expelled for violating protocol. She says this in an even voice, as if retelling someone else's story. But her fingers grip the strap of her bag so tightly that her knuckles turn white. Kai nods. He takes the staff. He says he'll fix it by tomorrow. Lena asks how much. Kai says 2 copper coins. Lena looks at him. 2 copper coins is the price of a loaf of bread. Repairing a focusing staff costs at least 5 silver coins with any ranked craftsman. She asks why it's so cheap. Kai shrugs. He says the staff is old and fixing it is interesting. Lena leaves. Kai sits down at the workbench and works until nightfall. He removes the pommel. He examines the stone. The crack runs through the magical focus but doesn't destroy it completely. If he fills the crack with the right compound and sets the stone in a new mount, it will work, even better than before. Because the crack creates additional refractive surfaces, and if they're aligned correctly, the mana flow will become wider, not narrower. Kai isn't a mage. Kai isn't a blacksmith by status. Kai is an F-rank tank who, for 22 years, watched other people use things and memorized what works and what doesn't. He has no talent. He has attention to detail. He works until dawn. He carves a new setting out of a bone he found in a pile of trash behind the flophouse. Bone from the rift, stronger than steel. He adjusts every millimeter. The stone fits into the frame as if it were born for it. Kai checks the balance. He balances the staff on his finger, slightly heavier toward the pommel. Lena holds the staff high at shoulder level with her right hand, so the center of gravity needs to be slightly above the middle so her arm doesn't get tired. Kai whittles down the bottom of the shaft by 0.5 centimeter. He checks again. Now the balance is perfect. Lena arrives in the morning. Kai places the staff on the workbench. Lena takes it. She freezes. She lifts it. She holds it with her right hand at shoulder level. The staff fits into her hand like an extension of her arm. Lena directs it toward a pot with a withered flower that has been sitting on the windowsill ever since Kai arrived here. A green light shines through the stone. Thin, steady, wider than before. The withered flower straightens. The leaves turn green. 3 seconds later, it blooms. Lena looks at the flower, then at the staff, then at Kai. Her eyes are wet. She says the staff works better than when her mother was alive. Kai doesn't know what to say. He's scared. He's always scared when someone cries next to him, because for 22 years, tears next to him have meant nothing but pain. He says the only thing that comes to mind. "Would you like some tea?" Lena laughs, through her tears. She sits down on a stool. Kai pours the tea. Lena drinks. Kai notices that she puts in 2 spoons of sugar. Something tightens inside him. Talia put 2 spoons in too. Talia the healer, who stood with her back turned while they killed him. For a second, Kai hates the coincidence. Then he hates himself for hating the coincidence. Lena isn't Talia. Lena came with a cane. Talia left with an artifact. Kai lets go of that thought. He drinks his tea. No sugar. The next day, Lena comes again, without a cane. For no reason. She sits on a stool. Kai pours tea. They are silent. The silence isn't awkward, just quiet. Like in a room where 2 people need nothing from each other except for the other to be nearby. Lena comes on the 3rd day, on the 4th, on the 5th. On the 6th, she says that 3 houses down the block lives a boy with an inflamed leg. His mother can't afford to pay a healer. Healers in the upper city charge 20 silver coins per visit. Lena says she can heal him for free, but has nowhere to do it. There is no table in her room. Kai silently pushes the workbench against the wall and clears half the workshop. "Right here," he says. Lena looks at him. Kai says the workshop is big. The workshop isn't big. The workshop is tiny, but Kai is used to cramped quarters. An hour later, Lena brings the boy and his mother. She treats the leg right on the workbench. The boy isn't crying. The mother is crying. Lena doesn't take any money. The mother leaves and returns with a basket of apples. Kai makes apple compote on the stove. The 3 of them drink the compote. Kai, Lena, and the silence, which is no longer empty. By the end of the 3rd week, Lena is treating patients in the workshop every day. Tea in the morning, patients in the afternoon. In the evening, Kai repairs tools while Lena reads books on a stool in the corner. They don't talk much, but Kai begins to notice things. Lena always washes her hands twice before eating. Lena fixes her hair when she thinks. Lena smiles, not with her lips, but with her eyes. Kai notices, and is frightened by what he notices, because noticing means getting attached, and getting attached means being afraid of losing. And Kai doesn't want to be afraid of losing anymore. He's already lost before. Enough. One evening, Lena asks why he opened his workshop right here, in Lower Ellsworth. Kai says the rent is cheap here. Lena says that's not an answer. Kai is silent. Then he says that the people who live here are the ones nobody wants to fix. And it seemed to him that this was the right place. Lena nods. She finishes her tea. She says one word. I'm staying. Kai doesn't answer. He doesn't need to. He just pours her another cup, with 2 spoons of sugar. This time, without flinching. Lena Park, a disowned healer with a cracked maternal staff, came to the workshop. Kai repaired the staff so that it worked better than before. Lena began coming every day and started treating the residents of Lower Ellsworth right in the workshop. She became the first person to tell Kai that she was staying. In the 4th week, a woman in a tattered cloak with a shoulder pad on her right shoulder enters the workshop. The shoulder pad is broken. The metal is bent. The coat of arms on it is barely discernible. 3 crossed swords against the background of a shield. The coat of arms of the Third Royal Order. The woman is tall, a head and a half taller than Kai, broad shoulders, dark hair cut short, a scar on her chin. Her hands are large with knuckles that look like they've taken a beating. She places the shoulder guard on the workbench and says it needs to be repaired. Kai picks up the shoulder guard. He examines it. The metal is good, royal steel, but it's bent so badly that restoring its shape is only possible by completely reforging it. The coat of arms won't survive the reforging. Kai tells her this. She remains silent. Then she says she knows. Kai asks if she wants to keep the crest. She stays silent longer. Then she says she doesn't know. Kai sets the shoulder guard aside. He pours tea. He places it in front of her. She looks at the cup as if it were a trap. Then she sits down and takes it. Her name is Yuna So, a former knight of the Third Royal Order, stripped of her rank 2 years ago. On a mission, she was ordered to finish off a wounded deserter. The deserter turned out to be her younger brother. She didn't finish him off. Only she knew that. Command didn't know the deserter was her brother. They simply decided she'd disobeyed orders out of weakness. They stripped her of her rank. They took her sword. They took her armor. She hid the shoulder guard under her cloak and carried it out. The only thing left from 6 years of service. She wears it every day. Broken. Useless. As a reminder. Of what, exactly? She isn't even sure herself. Kai listens, doesn't interrupt. When Yuna finishes, he asks only one thing. Which hand she uses to hold a sword. Yuna looks at him strangely, says, the right. Kai nods. He says he'll stop by tomorrow. Yuna says the shoulder guard isn't urgent. Kai says he's not talking about the shoulder guard. Yuna leaves. Kai works all night. He reforges the shoulder guard from scratch. He heats the metal on a torch that's too weak for such work, but Kai's hands are now stronger than any blacksmith's in the city. He bends the royal steel with his fingers, slowly, carefully. The shape is new, simpler than before, no curls, no decorations. In place of the Third Order's crest, Kai hammers out a different symbol, a simple circle with a hammer inside. The workshop's crest, if a workshop can have a crest. In the morning, Yuna arrives. Kai places the shoulder guard on the workbench. Yuna takes it, turns it in her hands, runs her finger over the new crest, a circle and a hammer. She asks what it is. Kai says it's the crest of the one who repairs. It'll do. Yuna stands there. She looks at the shoulder pad. Her face doesn't move. But Kai sees her throat twitch. Once. Twice. Then Yuna So, the former knight of the Third Royal Order, who hadn't allowed herself a single tear in 2 years, cries. Silently. Without a sound. Tears run down her cheeks, over the scar on her chin, and drip onto the shoulder pad. Kai stands beside her and doesn't move. He doesn't hug her, he doesn't comfort her. He just stands there. Because sometimes, when someone is crying, you just need to stand by and not get in the way. Yuna slips the shoulder pad over her right shoulder. It fits perfectly. Kai adjusted the straps to fit her shoulder width. She didn't ask him to. He just looked and remembered. Yuna wipes her face with the back of her hand. She asks how much. Kai says 3 copper coins. Yuna says that's an insult. Royal steel costs 20 silver coins to work with. Kai says he hasn't worked with royal steel. He worked on Yuna's shoulder guard. They're different things. Yuna looks at him for a long time. Then she says she has neither a sword nor a position. But if Kai needs someone who can stand between danger and those behind him, she'll be that person. Kai says he doesn't need a protector. Yuna says she didn't ask for his opinion. From that day on, Yuna So lives in the workshop. She sleeps on the second mattress that Kai buys with money from orders. She doesn't fix things. She fixes people. Not like Lena, in a different way. When a drunk adventurer comes into the workshop and starts yelling at Kai because the repair took 2 days instead of 1, Yuna steps between them. She doesn't say a word. She just stands there. The adventurer falls silent. He apologizes. He leaves. Yuna sits back down. Lena says from the corner that it was impressive. Yuna is embarrassed. Her ears turn red. For the first time, Kai sees a former knight's ears turn red from praise. He remembers it. Early in the 2nd month, Kai wakes up in the middle of the night to a sound. Someone is in the workshop. He gets up quietly. Yuna is sleeping by the door. Lena has gone to her rented room. Kai goes out into the workshop and sees a small figure under the workbench. A child. A girl. Small. Skinny. Curled up in a ball on the floor, asleep. Next to her on the floor is a crust of bread she didn't finish. She came to steal food. Found the crust of bread on the table, took a bite, fell asleep from exhaustion. Kai sits down on the floor next to the workbench, quietly, so as not to wake her. He sees her status. Scout, rank S. Invisibility, 14 years old. Rank S at 14. Kids like that don't live in the slums. Guilds take kids like that away the day after their status activates. They take them and use them. Espionage, assassinations, infiltration. A child with an S rank in invisibility is a weapon that doesn't need to be fed. If she's here, it means she ran away. If she ran away, it means they're looking for her. Kai doesn't touch her. He covers her with a blanket. He lies down to sleep next to her on the floor. In the morning, the smell of tea wakes him up. Yuna woke up first and put the kettle on. The girl sits under the workbench and stares at Yuna with wide eyes. Yuna looks at the girl. The girl doesn't move. Yuna doesn't move. Kai gets up. He pours 3 cups. He places one under the workbench. He says, "Good morning." The girl doesn't answer. She takes the cup with both hands. She drinks. Kai sits down at the workbench and starts working. He doesn't ask who she is. He doesn't ask where she's from. He doesn't ask why. He just works. An hour later, the girl crawls out from under the workbench. She stands nearby. She watches as he sharpens a knife blade. Kai says that if she needs food, there's bread and apples on the shelf. The girl takes an apple. She eats it standing up. She looks at Kai. Kai asks her name. The girl is silent for a long time. Then she says she doesn't remember. Kai doesn't ask again. He says that's okay, that names sometimes get lost, like things, but they can be found or made anew. The girl finishes the apple. She leaves. In the evening, Kai finds a neatly folded blanket and an apple core under the workbench. The next day, the girl comes back. She sleeps under the workbench. In the morning, she drinks tea. On the third day, Kai sets up a separate mattress for her, a small one, in the corner. The girl lies down on it and falls asleep instantly, like someone who has finally found a place where she can close her eyes. On the fourth day, she says she remembers. May. Her name is May. That's what her mother called her. Kai nods. He says it's a nice name, May. May doesn't smile, but her shoulders drop half a centimeter. It's not a smile. It's more than that. It's a breath she's been holding for a very long time. The workshop is growing. Not in size, in people. Lena heals, Yuna guards, May exists, Kai repairs. New orders arrive on the workbench every day, small ones, cheap ones, but steady ones. Lower Ellsworth is beginning to know the name Morgan, not as a hero, as a master. A person you can come to with anything broken and leave with something whole. Yuna, a demoted knight, came with a request to repair a broken shoulder guard and stayed at the workshop as a protector. Kai reforged the shoulder guard with a new coat of arms. May, a 14-year-old S-rank scout who had fled the guilds, began coming to the workshop and sleeping under the workbench. She remembered her name. A team formed around Kai without him intending it. By the middle of the second month, Morgan's workshop was supporting 12 people. Not because Kai wanted it that way, because that's how it turned out. One customer told another. Another brought a third. The third stayed for tea and brought his family. F ranks and those below F, tanks that no one takes on raids, mages with enough mana for 3 spells, scouts with an E-rank invisibility skill that doesn't even hide a shadow. They don't come to the workshop for repairs. They come to sit down at the table and eat alongside people who don't ask what rank you are. Kai cooks for everyone on a single burner. Soup, always soup, because soup can be stretched to feed any number of people if you add water. Kai's soup is terrible. Lena says this out loud on the second day. Yuna silently agrees. May eats and doesn't complain because she's had worse. One of the regulars brings vegetables. Someone brings spices. Someone brings a bigger pot because the old one can't handle it anymore. The workshop smells of metal and cabbage. It's a strange smell, but Kai likes it. One morning, Kai is repairing a breastplate for an old adventurer when May. She stands nearby and silently watches his hands. Then she says she wants to help. Kai asks with what? May says with anything. Kai thinks. Then he hands her a rag and asks her to wipe down the tools on the shelf. May takes the rag. She wipes each tool separately, carefully, slowly, as if it were important work. Because for her, it is important work. It's the first time someone has asked her to do something not because she's invisible, but because there were dirty tools nearby. That evening, a man Kai doesn't know walks into the workshop. A middle-aged man. Ordinary clothes, an ordinary face, nothing remarkable. He brings in a broken belt buckle, asks to have it fixed. Kai takes the buckle, and his fingers touch the client's hand. An echo of pain. A skill Kai doesn't quite understand yet, but right now, it's triggered involuntarily. For a second, Kai feels what this man is feeling. Cold. Calculation. Not a shred of warmth. And beneath that, deep as a stone at the bottom of a well, lies the assignment. Find and identify Kai Morgan. Status unknown, presumed dead. Confirm or refute. Sender, Silver Dawn. Kai doesn't flinch. His expression doesn't change. 22 years as a punching bag have taught him one thing: don't show it. He repairs a buckle, works for 10 minutes, hands it over, takes the payment. The man leaves. Kai stands at the workbench and his heart beats steadily. They've found him. No, they're looking for him. They haven't found him yet. A spy came to check the workshop, one of dozens of workshops in Lower Ellsworth, a routine inspection. He saw a skinny guy in an apron with F. Nothing suspicious. But Kai knows the spy will return, or they'll send another. Silver Dawn is looking for him. Aiden Kale wants to make sure the damage bag is really dead, because rumors have started coming from the Black Spire. Someone wiped out the 47th floor. Someone killed the Bone Reaper single-handedly. The rumors are vague, no names, no descriptions, but enough to keep Aiden from sleeping soundly. Kai thinks about what to do. Run? No. He just found a place. People. A burner stove on which he cooks soup. He won't run anywhere. Hide deeper. Stealth mode is working. His status is still F rank to everyone. As long as he doesn't do anything that goes beyond F rank, no one will suspect a thing. Wait. Kai knows how to wait. He waited 22 years. He'll wait some more. 3 days later, the spy returns. The same man, the same ordinary clothes. He brings a broken clasp from a bag. Kai fixes it. The spy pays. He sits on a stool by the entrance. Kai pours tea. The spy takes a cup. He drinks. He's silent. He sits for 10 minutes. He leaves. A week later, he comes back. Again with a minor repair. Again, he sits down. Again, tea. Each time, Kai feels an echo of pain at a chance touch. And each time, he sees the same thing. The mission. The cold. The calculation. But on the third visit, he notices something else. Beneath the cold and the calculation. Deeper. Fatigue. Not physical. Emotional. This man is tired of being who they force him to be. Kai says nothing. He just keeps pouring tea. On the fourth visit, the spy brings nothing broken. He just walks in, sits down, remains silent, drinks tea. Lena walks by and says good morning to him. Yuna nods from the corner. May pays no attention because she's busy polishing tools. The spy sits in a workshop that smells of metal and soup, where no one asks who he is or why he's there. Half an hour later, he stands up. He walks over to Kai. He speaks quietly. My name is Darren. I've been ordered to keep an eye on this area. Kai nods. Darren says he's been told to look for a man, a former tank, presumably dead. Kai says there are a lot of former this and that around here. Lower Ellsworth is that kind of place. Darren is silent. Then he says he'll write in his report that there's nothing interesting at Morgan's workshop. An old F rank fixes junk and cooks bad soup. Kai says thank you. Darren says you're welcome, and leaves. A week later, Darren comes back. Not as a spy anymore, as a customer. He brings a broken dagger sheath. Kai fixes it. Darren pays. He drinks tea. He tells Kai that before he became a spy, he worked in a bakery. That kneading dough is more interesting than kneading people. Kai listens. He doesn't laugh, but his eyes warm up. This is becoming a pattern. Every time someone with bad intentions comes in, the workshop does the same thing to them. Doesn't hit, doesn't expose, doesn't scare. Just accepts. Pours tea. Waits. And the person either leaves and doesn't come back, or comes back but as a different person. By the end of the second month, Charlie Wright is working in Kai's workshop. A red-haired 19-year-old daughter of a ruined blacksmith from the neighboring district. Her father was destroyed by a competitor with a hero as a patron. He took the clients. He took the workshop. He took the good name. Charlie was left with her father's tools and the title of cook. Not blacksmith, cook. The gods of Ayrton have a twisted sense of humor. Charlie is the best blacksmith of her generation. Her hands feel metal the way a musician feels a string. But without the blacksmith class and her status, no workshop will accept her work. Customers look at her status. They see cook. They walk away. Kai comes to her with an order, a breastplate for Yuna. Charlie asks what his class is. Kai says F-rank tank. Charlie snorts. She says that an F rank brings an order to a cook. That's rock bottom. Kai says he doesn't care what her status is. He's seen her work. The horseshoe she made for the junk dealer's horse on the corner. Smooth, light, perfectly shaped. He says he wants the same quality for the breastplate. Charlie stays silent. Then he says a breastplate isn't a horseshoe. Kai says he knows. That's why he came to her and not to the blacksmith. Charlie takes the order. She works for 3 days. The breastplate she makes weighs a third less than usual, but takes a beating better. She brings it to the workshop. Yuna puts it on. She moves. She raises her arms. She lowers them. She says that in the order, she had armor worth 100 gold pieces, and it fit worse. Charlie blushes to the roots of her red hair. She curses. She says that Yuna is lying. Yuna says that knights don't lie. Charlie curses even louder. Kai pours her some tea. Charlie stays, first for 1 day, then for 2. A week later, she drags her small forge into the corner of the workshop and says she'll work here because Kai's anvil is better. Kai's anvil is rusty and 30 years old, but no one objects to Charlie. Morgan's workshop is now both a repair shop and a blacksmith shop. Lena heals. Yuna keeps watch. May wipes down the tools and carries everything that needs carrying around the workshop faster than the eye can follow. Charlie forges. Kai repairs. And he cooks soup. The soup is still terrible, but now twice as many people eat it. One evening, Kai sits alone in the workshop after everyone has gone to sleep. Lena in her room, Yuna on the mattress by the door, May in the corner. Charlie snores by the forge. Kai stares at the gray status window. The numbers aren't moving. The system has been silent for 2 months now. Because no one is fighting. No one is causing harm. The only people around Kai are those who came because they wanted to, not because they were. And Kai thinks that's right. That's how it should be. That he doesn't want the system to grow. Let it be silent. Let it sleep. But somewhere deep inside, a voice he doesn't want to hear whispers softly. What if you need strength again? What if they come? What if what you have isn't enough? And then you'll regret not having enemies around. Kai closes the status window. He goes to bed. He doesn't answer the voice. Not yet, anyway. A Silver Dawn spy named Darren came to the workshop posing as a customer, but Kai exposed him through the echo of pain. Instead of getting rid of the spy, Kai simply poured him tea until he stopped being a spy. Charlie Wright, a blacksmith with the cook status, became part of the workshop. Kai noticed that his system wasn't growing because there were no enemies nearby, and for the first time, he heard an inner voice asking if he would regret this. By the 3rd month, Morgan's workshop was no longer a secret in Lower Ellsworth. Not because Kai wanted it to be, because people talk. The F ranks that Lena had healed told other F ranks. They told their friends. Their friends told their relatives. And one morning, Kai opened the workshop door and saw a line. 7 people, all with something broken. A shield, a boot, a chainmail gauntlet, a wooden children's toy, a hairpin, a flask with a hole in it, and one old man who brought a chair and said the leg had been wobbly for 3 years and he was tired of falling. Kai fixes everything in a day. Charlie helps with the metal. Lena makes tea because Kai is busy. Yuna makes sure no one pushes in line. May dashes between the workbench and the tool shelf so fast that sometimes it seems like she's two places at once. In the evening, Kai sits on the workshop threshold and looks out onto the street. His hands smell of oil and metal. His back doesn't hurt. It had hurt for 22 years. Not anymore. But he's tired as if it did. A good kind of tired. The kind that comes when you've done something worthwhile. Lena sits down next to him. She's silent. Then she says she wants to go to the pharmacy tomorrow to get herbs for ointments. Her supply is running out. Kai nods. He says he'll give her money. Lena says it's not necessary. She's started charging for treatment. 1 copper coin per visit. Less than a loaf of bread costs, but people pay with relief because free treatment scares them. And for 1 copper coin, they feel it's a fair deal. Kai smiles. Lena is smarter than him in these matters. The next day, Lena goes to the apothecary in Middle City. Kai is working. Charlie is forging arrowheads. An order from a hunter in the neighboring district. Yuna sits by the door, sharpening the knife Kai made for her. May is sleeping under the workbench because she didn't sleep last night. She often stays up at night, a habit from a past life when sleep meant vulnerability. Kai doesn't force her to sleep on a schedule. He just leaves a blanket where she'll find it. Lena returns 3 hours later. She walks into the workshop. She sets the bag of herbs on the shelf. She sits down on a stool. She's silent. Kai looks up and sees that she's pale, not from illness, from something else. He asks if everything's okay. Lena says yes. Then she says no. Then she says she saw Talia at the pharmacy, the doctor from Silver Dawn. Kai stops working. He puts the hammer down on the workbench. Slowly. Talia. The last time he saw her was from behind on the 47th floor. A back that never turned around. Lena says Talia was buying ingredients for painkillers. Expensive ones. The kind needed after serious injuries. Lena says Talia looked tired, thinner than S-rank healers usually look. Kai listens, doesn't interrupt. Then asks if Talia recognized Lena. Lena shakes her head. They've never met. Lena knows Talia from the newspapers, the beautiful healer of Silver Dawn, the face of the guild's advertising posters, the smile that makes people feel safe. Kai knows a different Talia, the one who looked away. He gets up from the workbench, goes out onto the street, stands there for a minute, breathes, returns, sits down, picks up the hammer, continues working. Lena pours him some tea. Kai drinks it. He can't taste it. He doesn't sleep at night. He lies on the mattress and stares at the ceiling. The gray status window flickers dimly. Kai opens it and looks at the line. Will. It grew that day on the 47th floor, when betrayal was converted into a number. Talia's betrayal cost him +12 to will, more than the Reaper's strike cost to defense. Mental damage. The system sees it differently. A broken bone is physical pain. Betrayal by a person for whom he made tea with 2 spoons of sugar is a pain that doesn't break bones. Something else breaks. Kai closes status and thinks of Talia. She looked away, didn't look. Maybe because she was ashamed, maybe because she was ordered to, maybe because she didn't care. Kai doesn't know, and he's not sure he wants to know. He falls asleep toward morning. He dreams of the 47th floor, but this time the Reaper isn't there. There's only a long corridor, and at the end of the corridor stands someone in a gray hooded robe. Kai walks toward him. The figure raises a hand. In the hand is not a scythe, a hammer, an ordinary blacksmith's hammer. The figure holds it out to Kai. Kai takes it. He wakes up. In the morning, a girl of about 8 comes into the workshop. Small, dark hair. Her dress is patched in 4 places. She's holding a wooden doll. The doll is broken. The head has fallen off. One arm hangs by a string. The legs are cracked from the damp. The girl places the doll on the workbench and says, "Uncle Kai, they told me you fix everything that's broken." Kai says, "Yes." The girl stands there. She fiddles with the hem of her dress. Then she says quietly, "Will you fix me?" The workshop falls silent. Charlie stops hammering. Lena looks up from the herbs. Yuna, who never shows any emotion, clenches her jaw. May freezes under the workbench, an apple in her hand. Kai looks at the girl. He sees her status. Empty. Completely empty. No class, no rank, no skills. An activation defect. In Ayrton, they call such people empties. Non-humans. Those who take up space but serve no purpose. They aren't to schools, not treated in hospitals, not counted in the census. To the world, this girl does not exist. Kai silently rises from behind the workbench, walks around it, approaches the girl. Kneels down on one knee in front of her, like a blacksmith kneels before a commission. Very seriously, attentively, without a smile, without pity. With the respect usually reserved for swords, not people. He examines her, turns her palms, looks at her fingers, at her shoulders, at the way she stands. The girl doesn't move. She waits. Kai speaks. "You know, I took a look. You aren't broken. They just haven't made a tool to fit your hand yet." The girl blinks. Kai takes a small piece of wood from the table. He pulls out a knife. He begins to carve. He works for 20 minutes. The girl stands nearby and watches intently. When Kai finishes, he holds a small hammer in his hand. Wooden, light, the size of an 8-year-old girl's palm. The head is made of bone. The handle is smooth. It fits perfectly in her small hand. Kai hands it to the girl. He says it's so she can fix her own toys. The girl takes the little hammer. She clutches it in her hand. She looks at Kai and does something Kai doesn't expect. She bows. Deeply. The way one bows to a master. Then she picks up the broken doll and the little hammer and walks away. Kai is on one knee, watching her go. Something inside him aches. Not from the blow, from the fact that he's done this before. He knows he's done this before. He doesn't remember when, he doesn't remember where. But his body remembers. His knee on this floor, his hands at this height, his gaze at this level. As if he's knelt before a little person with a broken thing more than once. As if he'd always done it. Lena approaches from behind, quietly. She places her hand on his shoulder. Kai flinches. Lena takes her hand away. She apologizes. Kai says everything's fine, that he was just lost in thought. Lena nods. She doesn't ask what he was thinking about. A week later, the girl's parents come to the workshop, mother and father, both with empty statuses. Both work as day laborers at the market. The mother brings a pie. She says her daughter won't let go of the hammer, that she fixed the doll herself. Crooked, badly, but by herself. For the first time in her life, she made something with her own hands and didn't hear that it was useless. Kai takes the pie. He says thank you. The mother cries. Kai is once again frightened by strangers' tears, but less so than before. His father shakes his hand and says he'll tell the neighbors. Kai says there's no need. His father says there is. A month later, half the neighborhood knows about Morgan's workshop. 2 months later, the whole neighborhood does. The workshop is never empty again. Toward the end of the 3rd month, Yuna wakes Kai in the middle of the night. She stands over him, her hand resting on the hilt of a knife. Yuna says one word. Guests. Kai gets up. He doesn't ask how many. Yuna will say it herself. Yuna says 3. On the roof of the house across the street, professionals. She saw the glint of a blade when the moon emerged from behind a cloud. Kai pulls on his shirt. He goes out to the workshop. May is already awake. She woke up before Yuna. An S-rank scout senses danger the way a cat senses an earthquake. May says there are 3 of them, all on the roof. 1 archer, 2 swordsmen, B-rank gear. She saw them half an hour ago when she went outside to get water. Kai asks why she didn't wake him up right away. May says she wanted to see what they would do. They're waiting, watching, waiting for the lights to go out in the workshop and for everyone to fall asleep. Kai nods. He wakes up Lena and Charlie, tells them to stay inside, not to go out, no matter what they hear. Lena grabs his sleeve. Her eyes are wide open. She asks where he's going. Kai says he's going out to talk. Yuna says she's coming with him. Kai says no. Yuna says she didn't ask. Kai looks at her. Then he says okay. But stay by the door. Don't come any closer. Yuna clenches her jaw. She nods. Kai steps out of the workshop into the night. Alone. In an apron. Unarmed. Lower Ellsworth is asleep. Silence. The oil lamps burn dimly. Kai stands in front of the workshop and looks at the roof of the house across the street. 3 silhouettes. He sees them. His eyes have improved since the system activated. His night vision has improved along with everything else. Kai speaks loud enough for them to hear. I know you're there. If you want to talk, I'll make some tea. If you want to kill me, I should warn you that I just finished a job and am very tired, so I'll be bad company. Silence. Then the first one jumps down from the roof. A swordsman. Black clothes, a mask, a blade in his hand. Rank B. Kai senses his aura. Powerful, heavy. For an ordinary F rank, a single swordsman like this means death in 2 seconds. The second jumps down from the right, also a swordsman. The third remains on the roof, an archer, an arrow on the string. 3 rank B mercenaries. Silver Dawn has sent serious people. The first swordsman says he has orders to check the workshop, to find a former tank. Kai says there are plenty of former tanks in Lower Ellsworth. Which one exactly? The swordsman says Kai Morgan, average height, slim build, F-rank status, presumed dead. Kai spreads his hands. He says that every other person in this neighborhood fits that description. The swordsman doesn't laugh. He pulls out a scroll with a portrait. He unrolls it. On the scroll is Kai's face. A drawing, not accurate. The artist drew it from a description, but it looks like him. The swordsman looks at Kai. He looks at the drawing, then back at Kai. Kai stands calmly. His heart beats steadily. The swordsman says he looks like him. Kai says he has an ordinary face. The swordsman puts the scroll away. He says he's been ordered to check the status. If it's F rank, they leave. If not, they leave too, but together with Kai. Kai nods. He shows the status. A golden window opens in the air. Tank, rank F, defense 6, attack 4. Silent mode is working flawlessly. The swordsman looks. The second swordsman looks. The archer on the roof lowers his bow. The swordsman says it really is F rank. Pathetic, useless, not the one. Kai doesn't flinch at the word pathetic. He's heard it 1,000 times. It doesn't hit him anymore. The swordsman says that since Kai isn't the target, they're leaving. But the swordsman doesn't leave. He stands there. He looks at the workshop, then at Kai. Then he says he doesn't like this place. that F ranks shouldn't be gathering in a group, that it's suspicious, that maybe it's worth cleaning up, for the sake of order. Kai understands what's happening. The swordsman is bored. He made the trip all the way to Lower Ellsworth. The target turned out to be a dud, and now he wants to take it out on someone. On someone who can't fight back. On an F rank in an apron. The swordsman takes a step forward. He punches Kai in the face, not with a sword, with his fist, humiliatingly. The way they beat those they deem unworthy of a blade. Kai's head jerks to the side, blood from a split lip. A gray window flashes, +2 to defense. The swordsman strikes again, in the stomach, in the chest. Each blow is B rank, heavy. For an ordinary F rank, each such blow means broken ribs and internal bleeding. For Kai, each blow is a number in the status bar that creeps upward. Kai doesn't fall, doesn't back down. He stands, looks the swordsman in the eyes. The swordsman strikes a 5th time, 6th, 7th. On the 8th, his fist slams into Kai's cheekbone, and the swordsman jerks his hand back. He hisses. His knuckles turn crimson, as if he'd struck a wall instead of a face. Kai stands. The blood on his face is already drying. The wounds are closing, slowly, but noticeably. The swordsman watches. The second swordsman takes a step back. The archer on the roof raises his bow again. Kai speaks quietly. I offered tea. The offer still stands. The swordsman is silent. Then he turns abruptly. He says they're leaving. 3 shadows vanish into the night. Kai stands in front of the workshop. His face aches. His ribs throb. But the numbers in his status have gone up. A little. 8 B-rank hits isn't the 47th floor, but it's not 0 either. Yuna steps out from behind the door. She saw everything. Her face is stony. She asks why he let himself get beaten. Kai says he didn't. He was standing there. There's a difference. Yuna says there isn't. Kai says the difference is that the swordsman is gone, but the workshop is still standing. Yuna is silent. Then she says that next time she'll stand between them. Kai says no. Yuna says she didn't ask. They go inside. Lena is waiting with a wet rag. She presses it against Kai's face. The wound has already healed, but Lena doesn't know that. She thinks she treated it in time. Kai doesn't tell her the truth. May is sitting on the workbench, swinging her legs. She says she counted the blows. 8. She says the swordsman fought like a coward, wildly and without technique. Kai says May's observation skills are impressive. May doesn't smile, but stops dangling her feet. For her, that's almost a smile. Charlie comes out of the back room with a hammer in her hand. She says that if anyone else sneaks into her workshop at night, she'll flatten his head like a workpiece. Kai says that legally, it's his workshop. Charlie says that legally, she doesn't care. Kai goes to bed. The scar on his cheekbone isn't there because the wound healed, but Lena saw it. For a second, she saw the wound close on its own. Too fast for an F rank. Too fast for any rank. She says nothing, but Kai feels her gaze on his back as he turns toward the wall. She saw it. She's thinking. Soon she'll ask, and Kai doesn't know what he'll say. Lena asks 4 days later. Not in the morning when everyone's together, not in the evening when Charlie's making noise by the horn. She asks at night. Kai isn't sleeping. He's sitting at the workbench, sharpening a knife, a small one, for May, the size of her palm, with a handle that fits a child's fingers. May didn't ask for it. Kai just knows she needs her own knife. Not for fighting, so it's hers. Something made just for her. Not for her skill. For her. Lena comes in from the back room, quietly. She sits across from him. Kai doesn't look up. He keeps sharpening. Lena is silent for a minute. Then she speaks. Kai, who are you, really? Kai sharpens the knife. Lena says she saw a wound on his cheekbone. She saw it close in 3 seconds. She says an F rank can't do that. A D rank can't do that. Not even a B rank with a regeneration skill can do that. She's a healer. She knows the healing speed of every rank by heart. What she saw goes beyond the charts. Kai stops sharpening. He puts the knife down on the workbench. He looks at Lena. She looks at him. Her eyes are calm, not frightened, not suspicious, just attentive, like a healer examining a patient. Kai thinks. He could lie. Say it was her imagination, that the lighting was bad, that she was tired. Lena would believe him. She wants to believe him. But Kai doesn't want to lie. Not to her. He's tired of lying. For 22 years, he's lied that everything is fine, that it doesn't hurt, that he's handling it, that being a damage sponge is a decent job. Enough. Kai says his status isn't what it seems. He says the real numbers are hidden, that the system he got converts the damage he takes into stat growth, that every hit makes him stronger, forever. Lena listens. She doesn't interrupt. When he finishes, she's silent for a long time. Then she asks where the system came from. Kai says he doesn't know. It activated when he was being killed on the 47th floor of the Black Spire. Lena asks who was killing him. Kai says, my team, Silver Dawn. Lena doesn't flinch, doesn't gasp. She sits motionless, her fingers on the table turning slightly white. It's the only sign that she's listening. Kai tells her, briefly, without details, without names, except for one. Aiden Kale. The man who looked with calm blue eyes and waited for the damage bag to stop being alive. Lena asks why he didn't go to the guard, why he didn't report it. Kai says that Silver Dawn is the face of the kingdom. Aiden Kale is the darling of the press and the princess. The guard won't touch him at a dead F-Rank's report. Lena nods. She understands. She, too, had been on the other side of the system, expelled for saving the wrong person. She knows how it works. The truth doesn't matter when a lie has a higher rank. Lena asks what he plans to do. Kai is silent. Then he says he doesn't know. That he once wanted revenge. On the 47th floor, sitting in blood and laughing, he thought about revenge. But then he opened a workshop, and repaired a staff, and cooked soup, and made a little hammer for a girl. And somewhere, between the staff and the hammer, revenge stopped being the main thing. It didn't disappear, it just faded into the background, like the pain in his leg he's grown used to. You know it's there, but you don't live because of it. Lena listens. Then she does something Kai doesn't expect. She reaches out and places her palm over his hand on the table. Her hand is warm. Her fingers are slender. Her palm is soft from healing ointments. Kai freezes. He can't remember the last time someone touched his hand with kindness. Lena speaks. I won't ask any more questions, but I want you to know. I don't care what your stats are. You fixed my staff. That's all I need to know. Kai looks at her hand on his. The gray status window flickers at the edge of his vision. The will bar doesn't move. The system is silent. Because there is no ill will in Lena's touch. No damage, only warmth. And the system doesn't know what to make of it. Neither does Kai. Lena pulls her hand away. She stands up. She says goodnight. She goes into the back room. Kai sits at the workbench. He picks up the knife for May. He keeps sharpening it. His hands aren't shaking, but something inside is trembling, quietly, like a string that's been accidentally plucked. The next morning, nothing has changed. Lena pours tea. Kai works. Yuna stands by the door. May runs around the workshop. Charlie curses at a piece of wood that won't bend. Everything is as usual, except for one thing. Kai hands May the knife. Small, light, with a dark wooden handle. May takes it. She turns it in her hands, tests the grip. The knife fits her palm like a glove. May looks at Kai. Her face doesn't change, but she hides the knife under her arm. Quickly. The way you hide something precious. Not because she's afraid it will be taken, because she doesn't want anyone to see how much it means to her. Kai sees it. He turns away, pretends not to see. Because sometimes respect means not looking when a person is vulnerable. A week later, a new client comes to the workshop. A woman. Tall, dark eyes, slow speech. A slight accent she tries to hide. She brings a broken bow. The wood is split down the middle. The string is torn. But the wood is special. Black elm. It grows in only one place, in the eastern principality beyond the mountains, the very one that was cleared 3 years ago during the Heroes Guild's peacekeeping operation. Kai takes the bow, examines it, asks where it's from. The woman is silent. Then she says, from home. Kai doesn't ask for details. He can tell. The bow is old, handmade. No master from the capital makes bows from black elm. This is village craftsmanship, the work of someone who knew every curve of this tree. Kai asks which hand she shoots with. The woman says her right. He asks from what distance she usually shoots. The woman says from any distance. Kai looks up. The woman looks at him calmly, without defiance, without boasting, just a fact. She shoots from any distance. Kai asks her name. Ha-un-jung. Kai nods. He says he'll have it fixed by tomorrow. Ha-un leaves. Kai works all night. A bow made of black elm. The crack is deep, but the wood is alive. It responds to his touch. Kai feels it with his hands. The wood remembers the arrows that flew from it. It remembers the hand that drew it. It remembers the home that is no more. Kai doesn't fill the crack. He reinforces it. He lays a thin strip of metal along the fault line. He doesn't hide it. On the contrary, the crack becomes part of the bow, like a scar that doesn't disfigure but strengthens. He weaves a new string through woven from sinew that Charlie found at the market. He adjusts the draw weight. He asks himself which is Ha-un's dominant shoulder, the right. So the draw weight is slightly softer on the right side so her arm doesn't get tired. In the morning, Ha-un arrives. She takes the bow, lifts it, pulls the string, holds it for 3 seconds, lets go. Stands in silence. Kai waits. Ha-un says the tension is just right, that the bow performs better than when it was whole, that the crack he didn't hide. She falls silent, then says, "Thank you," quietly. With an accent she doesn't try to hide this time. Kai says 2 copper coins. Ha-un pays. She leaves. She returns in the evening, without the bow, for no reason. She sits in the corner of the workshop. Lena pours her some tea. Ha-un drinks. She is silent. She looks at the people around her, at Lena, who is treating an old man's knee, at Yoon, who is cleaning a shoulder pad with a hammer emblem, at May, who is sleeping curled up on the workbench, at Charlie, who is cursing at the metal, at Kai, who is cooking soup. Ha-un sits until closing time. Then she gets up. She says it's raining outside. Kai says there's a spare mattress in the back room. Ha-un lies down. She falls asleep. It rains all night. In the morning, the rain stops. Ha-un doesn't leave. Lena asked Kai directly who he was, and Kai told her the truth about the damage return system and Silver Dawn's betrayal. Lena accepted him without question. Kai made a knife for Mei that fit her hand. Ha-un-jung, an archer refugee from a destroyed principality with a cracked bow. Kai repaired the bow, not by hiding the crack, but by reinforcing it. Ha-in stayed. By the 5th month, Morgan's workshop is no longer a workshop. It is a place. That's what they say in Lower Ellsworth. Not a shop, not a smithy, not a clinic. A place. People come there when they don't know where to go, when something has broken that cannot be described in words, when you just need to sit next to someone and be silent. Kai didn't plan this. He wanted to fix things and cook soup, but the things brought people. The people brought other people. And now, in his workshop, which is the size of a large room, 6 people live and work, and 30 come every day. One morning, a woman in glasses walks into the workshop with a notebook under her arm and a broken pen in her hand. It's an expensive pen, a silver barrel, a gold nib, an heirloom from her grandfather. The woman places it on the workbench and says the pen won't write. The nib has broken off inside the barrel. No jeweler will attempt to repair it because the mechanism is too delicate. Kai takes the pen. He examines it. He asks which hand she writes with. The woman says her left. Kai nods. He asks if she writes a lot. The woman laughs. She says it's her job. She's a journalist. She writes 10 hours a day. Kai asks which newspaper. The woman says the Independent, the Lower Voice, a small newspaper that nobody reads. Kai asks what she writes about. The woman falls silent for a second. Then she says, about the tanks that never returned. Kai stops twirling his pen. He looks up. The woman looks straight at him, without fear, without pretense. Her name is Sora An. She is 28. For 3 years, she has been gathering material on the tanks that were lost as part of the Silver Dawn. For 3 years, she has been recording names, dates, circumstances. For 3 years, she has been writing articles that no major newspaper will publish. They call her crazy, paranoid, obsessed. The editor of the Lower Voice prints her material only because he has nothing else to fill the column with. Sora says that over the past 10 years, 7 tanks have been lost in Silver Dawn. 7. All in the rifts. All under unexplained circumstances. All young. All low-ranking. All without families who would ask questions. Kai listens. His face doesn't change, but inside something tightens. 7. He was the 7th. Or was supposed to be the 7th. Sora says she has an archive. Documents, evidence, copies of guild reports she's been gathering for 3 years through contacts. But without proof, no one listens. She needs a living witness. A tank from Silver Dawn who survived and can confirm it. She's been looking for such a person for 3 years. Kai looks at her. Sora looks at him. She doesn't know who he is. She just came to get her pen fixed. She tells this to anyone who will listen because there's no one else to tell. Kai takes the quill. He says he'll have it fixed by tomorrow. Sora nods. She stands up. She's about to leave. Kai says one thing. I'll read everything you write, and I'll believe it. Sora stops at the door. She turns around. She looks at him. Her glasses have slipped down to the tip of her nose. Her eyes behind the glasses are shining, not from tears, from something else. Because for the first time in 3 years, someone has said, I'll believe you, instead of prove it. She leaves without saying a word. But Kai watches her walk down the street. Straighter than when she came in, faster, like a person who suddenly has somewhere to go. At night, Kai repairs the pen. He takes apart the body. The mechanism inside is truly delicate. A spring, a piston, an ink channel. The nib has broken from wear and tear. 3 years, 10 hours a day. The pen couldn't handle its owner. Kai grinds a new nib from a scrap of steel. Thinner than the old one. Stronger. He fits it to the mechanism, assembles it back together, tests it. The pen writes. But Kai notices the balance is off. The pen is heavier toward the tip. For right-handers, that's normal. For left-handers, it isn't. Sora is left-handed. She needs the balance shifted toward the base so her wrist doesn't get tired after 10 hours. Kai grinds off the excess metal from the tip. He adds a tiny weight to the base of the body. He checks it. Now the pen fits perfectly in her left hand. In the morning, Sora arrives. She picks up the pen. She writes a single word on a scrap of paper. She freezes. She writes a second, a third, a line, 2 lines. Then she looks up at Kai. She says the pen has never written like this, not even when it was new. Kai says he just fixed it. Sora says he's lying, that he made it better, that he made it fit her hand. Kai shrugs. Sora puts the pen away. She takes out a notebook. She says that now she has a reader and a pen. 2 out of 3. All that's missing is a story. Kai says that in Lower Ellsworth there are stories on every corner. Sora says she needs one specific one. She looks at Kai for a long time. Kai holds her gaze. He says nothing. Not now. Sora nods. She doesn't press him. She says, "All right, Mr. Morgan. I'll wait." Kai notes that she's the only one who calls him Mr. Morgan, with an intonation that makes his ears warm. Sora leaves. She returns 2 days later with a newspaper. She places it on the workbench, the latest issue of the Lower Voice, an article on page 3, about a workshop in Lower Ellsworth that repairs things for those whom no one else will repair. No names, no address, just a story. Short, heartwarming, about how in a city where a person's worth is determined by a letter in their status, someone decided that letters aren't what matters most. Kai reads it. Twice. Then he folds the newspaper and puts it on the shelf. Sora asks if he liked it. Kai says yes. Sora says the print run is 40 copies. Kai says that's 40 people who will read the truth. Sora takes off her glasses, wipes them, puts them back on. Says it's the nicest review she's ever received. Drinks tea, leaves. Kai stands at the workbench and thinks. Sora knows about the tanks. She knows that Silver Dawn kills its own. She doesn't know that one of those tanks is standing right in front of her in an apron, cooking soup. Not yet, anyway. But journalists know how to find what's hidden. It's their job. Sooner or later, she'll figure it out. And then Kai will have to decide. Trust or run. He's already tired of running. That night, Kai lies on the mattress and counts the people around him. Lena is sleeping in the back room. Yuna is by the door. May is in the corner. Charlie is by the horn. Haun is on the second mattress. Sora isn't here yet, but she will be. Kai can feel it. 6 people. 6 people who came to him because they had something broken. A staff, a shoulder pad, a name, a job, a bow, a quill. He fixed their things. The things tied the people to him. The people tied him to them. And now Kai lies in the darkness, listening to the gray status window pulsing quietly, and thinking about how his system feeds on pain, while all around him, for the first time, there is nothing but warmth. He is growing weaker. No, he isn't growing. His numbers have been stagnant for 2 months now. And somewhere in the city, Aiden Kale is getting stronger every day because S rank doesn't stand still. The gap is narrowing. And a sneaky voice inside whispers softly, "You could make them angry. One of them, any of them. One angry word and the system will wake up. One blow from someone you trust and will jump 10 points." So simple. So easy. Kai clenches his fists under the blanket. No, not like that. Never like that. He'd rather remain weak than make them the source of his strength. But the voice doesn't go away. The voice just fades. Sora An, a journalist who has been investigating the destruction of tanks in Silver Dawn for 3 years, came to the workshop. Kai repaired her heirloom quill for her. Sora wrote an article about the workshop in her newspaper. Kai learned that 6 other tanks had been destroyed in Silver Dawn before his. The internal conflict intensifies. The system isn't growing because there are no enemies nearby, and the voice inside Kai begins suggesting they create them artificially. In the 6th month, a real threat arrives. Not a spy, not a patrol. 3 mercenaries, rank B, all 3, with a clear order. Do not interrogate. Do not interrogate. Kill everyone in the workshop. Clean up. Leave no witnesses. Kai senses them a minute before they enter, not an echo of pain. Something else. His body reacts to the intent to kill as if to a change in pressure. The hairs on his arms stand on end. His skin grows cold. His muscles tense on their own. Early morning. Lena hasn't arrived yet. Charlie is stoking the forge. Yuna is sharpening a knife by the door. May is on the roof drying laundry. Ha-un is in the back room peeling onions. Kai stands at the workbench, sharpening a blade for a customer. The door opens. 3 men enter. They're dressed in civilian clothes, but Kai sees their shoulders, their hands, their stride, the distance between them. Tactical. The first one blocks the exit. The second heads for the workbench. The third goes to the back room. Kai puts the hammer down on the workbench. Quiet. Charlie says one word. Basement. Charlie looks up, sees Kai's face. Doesn't argue. Disappears through the door into the basement. Yuna steps away from the door. Her hand is on the knife. Kai shakes his head. Yuna clenches her jaw. She doesn't move. The second mercenary approaches the workbench. He looks at Kai. He says the workshop is closing. For good. By order of those whose names need not be mentioned. Kai says he still has 3 orders for today. Can he finish them first? The mercenary doesn't answer. He draws his blade. He strikes, quickly, professionally. A B-rank blade in the master's hand is death you can't see. Kai sees it. The blade enters his shoulder. Pain, sharp, hot. The gray window flashes, +4 to defense. Kai doesn't back down. He doesn't fall. He stands. The mercenary pulls the blade out. He looks. The wound on Kai's shoulder is closing. Not instantly, in 5 seconds, but it's closing. The mercenary strikes again, in the stomach, deeper, more serious. A wound that should kill an F rank. +6. Kai stands, blood on his apron. The wound closes in 4 seconds, faster than the first. The mercenary takes a step back. For the first time in his career, he sees something he doesn't understand. Kai takes off his apron, folds it neatly on the workbench, speaks quietly. I'll give you a choice. You can continue, and then in 10 minutes you won't be able to hurt me. Or you can sit down and have some tea. The third mercenary by the back room grabs a blade. He lunges at Kai, a stab in the back, deep, between the shoulder blades, +0.7. The wound closes in 3 seconds. Kai turns. He looks at the third one. The third one strikes again, in the neck, in the thigh, in the arm. Each blow harder than the last. Each wound heals faster. The gray window counts. The system is working. For the first time in 2 months, the numbers are rising. And Kai catches himself feeling relief. Relief from being beaten. That thought terrifies him more than the 3 mercenaries. The first mercenary at the door lunges forward. All 3 attack at once. 6 blades, 3 B-rank professionals. The blows rain down faster than the eye can follow. Kai stands in the center. He doesn't dodge. He doesn't block. He just stands there and counts. 1, 2, 3, 15, 20. On the 30th strike, his defense crosses the threshold. The mercenary's blade slashes into his side and slides off, like a knife on stone. Sparks. On the 35th blow, the second blade snaps against his forearm. On the 40th, the third mercenary retreats. His hands are shaking. He doesn't understand what stands before him. Not a man, not a monster. Something in between. Something that grows stronger with every blow. Kai looks at the 3 of them, quietly, calmly. Blood on the floor. His blood. But there are no wounds. They've all closed up. He speaks. T. The first mercenary drops his blade. The second sits down on the floor. The third leans against the wall. Kai walks to the stove. He puts the kettle on. He pours 3 cups. He places one in front of each of them. Yuna stands in the corner, her knife in her hand. She hasn't moved the whole time. Not because Kai asked her to, because she saw what was happening and understood. He doesn't need help. He needs these blows. And she hates that it's like this. The mercenaries drink their tea, in silence. All 3 of their hands are shaking. Kai sits down at the workbench. He takes the apron, puts it back on. He takes the hammer. He continues working on the blade he was fixing before they arrived. The first mercenary finishes his tea. He sets down his cup. He says his name is Torin, that he was ordered to clean out the workshop and everyone in it, that he's been following orders for 15 years and never once hesitated. Now he has doubts. Kai nods. He says that doubt is normal. Torin says he'll go back to the employer and report that the workshop is empty, that everyone has left. Kai says thank you. Torin says it's not for Kai's sake. It's so his hands will stop shaking. The 3 mercenaries leave. Kai sits at the workbench. Lena enters 5 minutes later. She sees blood on the floor. She sees Kai unharmed. No wounds. In an apron. With a hammer. She approaches. She takes a rag. Silently, she begins to wipe up the blood. Kai says he can do it himself. Lena says she knows. She continues wiping. They are silent. May comes down from the roof. She sees the blood. She sees the broken blades on the floor. She looks at Kai. Kai says everything is fine. May says she saw them from the roof, that she counted the blows, 43. Kai says she's got a good count. May says one of the mercenaries had a purse with 5 gold pieces, and she took it when he was leaving. Kai says stealing isn't right. May says it's not stealing, but compensation for the cleanup. Kai doesn't argue. 5 gold pieces is more than the workshop has earned in 2 months. In the evening, Kai sits on the threshold. His body is buzzing, not from pain, from growth. The system has processed 43 B-rank strikes. The numbers jumped, not like after the Reaper, but noticeably. And Kai sits and thinks about what he felt when the first blade entered his shoulder. Relief. He felt relief. 2 months of silence. 2 months without growth. And when they finally struck again, something exhaled. Finally. Kai looks at his hands, clean, no blood. The wounds have healed. The scars remain, thin, white. Beneath them, the muscles are denser and the bones stronger. He had grown stronger, and he liked it. That's what's scary. Not the mercenaries, not Silver Dawn, not Aiden Kale. What's scary is that Kai Morgan is starting to need enemies. Like a junkie needs a fix. Lena sits down next to him. She's silent. Then she speaks. You could have dodged it. Kai says he could have. Lena says, why didn't you? Kai is silent for a long time. Then he says quietly, because I needed strength. Lena doesn't answer. She sits beside him, shoulder to shoulder. Kai feels the warmth. His system is silent. Lena's warmth doesn't convert into numbers, but it holds him, like an anchor, like a workbench you return to every morning. Kai closes his eyes. He thinks, I won't become like that. I won't become someone who seeks out pain. I'll be the one who fixes things, even if that means I have to stay weak. But the voice inside is silent, not because it agrees, because it knows. Soon, those who cannot be refused will come, and then we'll see. 3 B-rank mercenaries arrived with orders to destroy the workshop. Kai took 43 blows without dodging, and his defense rose to a level where the blades stopped cutting him. The mercenaries left and promised to report that the workshop is empty. Kai realized that he felt relief from the pain and that his system was beginning to develop a dependency on damage. His inner conflict had escalated to the limit. In the 7th month, Silver Dawn announces a casting call for a new tank. The newspapers write about it for 3 days straight. Aiden Kale's face is on every lamppost in Upper City. A smile, blue eyes, a caption. Join the best, become the kingdom's shield. Sora brings the newspaper to the workshop. She places it on the workbench, silently. Kai reads. His expression doesn't change. Charlie reads over his shoulder and says that Aiden Kale looks like a man who sells poison in pretty bottles. Yuna says that in the Third Order, they called people like that white swords. The blade is clean. The scabbard is covered in blood. Kai folds the newspaper. He places it on the shelf next to Sora's article about the workshop. 2 newspapers, 2 worlds. One repairs, the other destroys. Sora sits down across from him. She takes off her glasses, wipes them, puts them back on. She says the casting call is a cover, that a source from the guild called her. Under the guise of a casting call, Aiden isn't looking for a tank. He's looking for Kai. Because the rumors about the 47th floor won't die down. Because the 3 mercenaries sent to clear out Lower Ellsworth returned and reported that the workshop was empty. But one of them, Torin, quit the mercenary agency a week later and vanished. Aiden isn't stupid. He realizes something doesn't add up. Kai listens. He thinks. He asks Sora what she suggests. Sora says she has an archive. 6 tanks, 6 deaths, 6 reports that don't match the dates and circumstances. If you add a 7th living witness, that's material for the Guild Tribunal. Kai says that the Guild Tribunal consists of people appointed by the Crown. The Crown loves Aiden. Aiden is dating the princess. The Tribunal won't touch him. Sora says she knows. But the Tribunal isn't the only court. There's public opinion. 40 copies of The Lower Voice aren't enough. But if the story falls into the hands of other newspapers, if the names of the fallen tanks become known, if the families who were deceived learn the truth, then even the princess won't be able to turn a blind eye. Kai is silent. Then he says he'll think about it. Sora nods. She doesn't press him. Kai thinks for 3 days. On the 4th day, Haun comes to him. She stands at the workbench and speaks softly in her accent, which she no longer hides. She says she knows what it means when heroes kill those they are supposed to protect, that she saw it with her own eyes. A village, fire, people in armor with golden statuses, and the bodies of those who didn't have the rank to defend themselves. She says that if Kai decides to tell the truth, she will stand by his side. Not for him, by his side. Kai looks at her. Haun looks back. Dark eyes. Calm. Like someone who has already lost everything they could lose and therefore fears nothing. Kai nods. He walks over to Sora. He says 2 words. I'm ready. Sora takes out a notebook. The pen Kai repaired fits perfectly in her left hand. And the work begins. Kai tells his story. Everything, from the very beginning. 3 years in Silver Dawn, training sessions where they used him as a dummy, raids where they sent him to the front without backup, the taunts, the nickname Sack, the tea he brewed every morning, 2 spoons of sugar for Talia, the 47th floor, Aiden's order, a stab in the back from his own men, a broken spine, the Reaper's scythe, and the gray window that opened just as he was about to die. Kai doesn't talk about the system. He only says he survived, that the Reaper crumbled, that he came out alone. Sora writes for 4 hours. She doesn't interrupt. She doesn't ask for clarification. When Kai finishes, Sora closes her notebook. She looks at him. She says this is the best and scariest story of her life. Kai says he hopes this is the last scary story. Sora smiles. She says, "Don't get your hopes up, Mr. Morgan. I'm a journalist. I'll always find something scarier." 2 weeks later, Sora publishes the story, not in the lower voice. She sends copies to 12 newspapers across Airtan. 4 out of 12 print it. That's enough. The capital is in an uproar. The names of the 6 fallen tanks are on the front pages. The families who were deceived 3, 5, and 8 years ago read the truth over their morning tea. The Guild announces an investigation. Aiden Kale makes a statement. He says it's slander, that all the tanks died heroically, that he mourns each one. His blue eyes on the screen of the magic TV in every living room in Ayrton. He's convincing. He's always convincing. But now there are names, and dates, and a living witness. Kai sits in his workshop and listens as a boy from the house next door recounts the news he heard from his mother. A man who survived the Black Spire. A tank abandoned by his own men. The boy doesn't know that this man is sitting in front of him, mending his boot. Kai mends the boot, smiles, hands it back, takes a copper coin, pours the boy some tea. The boy leaves. Kai sits alone, thinks about what he's done. He's stepped out of the shadows. Not entirely. His name is encrypted in Sora's report. A living witness, nameless, undescribed. But Aiden is smart. He'll figure it out. He'll put the pieces together. And he'll come. The question isn't if. The question is when. Kai opens the gray status window. He looks at the numbers. After 43 hits from the mercenaries, they've gone up, but not enough. To fight S-rank Aiden Kale, he needs more. Much more. And the only way to get more is to take more damage. Kai closes the status window. He picks up the hammer. He strikes the anvil. The clang of metal echoes through the workshop. Steady, rhythmic, like a heartbeat. In the basement, May is cleaning the 5 gold coins she stole from the mercenary with a rag. She does this every evening. Not because the coins are dirty, because they're hers. The first things that belong to her, Not stolen for survival, stolen for justice. The difference is small, but for May, it's huge. Aidan Kale arrives 3 weeks after publication. Kai knows he'll come today of all days, not because he was warned, because something changed in the air of Lower Ellsworth this morning. The cats have left the streets, the rats have gone into hiding, even the wind has died down. Ayrton can sense when an S-rank is walking through the city, just as a forest can sense when a fire is passing through it. Kai is standing at the workbench. Charlie has gone to the market for coal. May is on the roof. Ha-In is in the backyard checking the bowstring. Yuna is by the door. Lena is in the back room mixing ointment. A typical morning, except that it won't be typical. The workshop door opens. Aidan Kale enters, full ceremonial armor, a white cloak with a gold trim, a sword at his belt. Behind him, 2 men in guild uniforms, witnesses. So there will be someone to confirm that an accident occurred. Aidan stands in the workshop doorway and looks around. An anvil, a workbench, a burner with a kettle, a shelf with tools, the stool where Lena usually sits, May's mattress in the corner, the smell of metal and tea. Aidan looks at Kai. Kai looks at Aidan. A year. More than a year since that day on the 47th floor. Aidan has changed. Or maybe not. The same blue eyes, the same smile, the same perfect posture. But something beneath it is different. Something strained, like a string that's been pulled too tight and is about to snap. Aidan speaks. Kai, I'm glad you're alive. Come back to the team. We missed you. His voice is warm, sincere. If Kai didn't know the truth, he would believe it. Maybe. A year ago, he definitely would have believed it. Kai stands with a rag in his hands. He looks at Aidan for a long time, silently. Then he speaks quietly. Talia liked her tea with 2 spoons of sugar. You knew that. Aidan blinks. His smile freezes for a second. He says, What? Kai says, Nothing. Come in, I just put the kettle on. Yuna stands motionless by the door. Her hand is on the knife. Kai shakes his head, barely noticeably. Yuna clenches her jaw. She steps back. Aidan enters. 2 witnesses follow him. The door closes. Aidan takes 3 steps toward the workbench. He stops. His right hand rests on the hilt of his sword. He says he's come to talk, that the story in the papers is a misunderstanding, that the tanks that were lost are a tragedy, but not a crime. Fault lines are dangerous. People die. That's the price. Kai listens. He doesn't interrupt. Aidan says Kai can come back, that everything will be different, that he'll be given a D rank, maybe a C, that he was misjudged, that the system sometimes makes mistakes. Kai says the system doesn't make mistakes. People do. Aidan falls silent. His hand tightens around the hilt. Then he speaks quietly. Why didn't you die, Kai? That was your job. Why didn't you do your job? Kai looks at him, and for the first time, he sees Aidan Keel without a mask, without a smile, without a warm voice. Beneath it all stands a man who sincerely believes that tanks exist to die, that a shield is a thing, not a person, that history is written by the sword, that those who stand in front and take the blow don't deserve names. Aidan isn't a villain. He's worse. He's a man who built his philosophy on the idea that another's life is worth less than his goal. And that philosophy worked for 10 years. 7 tanks, 7 deaths. 7 steps by which Aidan climbed to glory. Kai says, I didn't die because the gods looked away. Aidan draws his sword. He strikes. The first blow to the Jimian. Fast, precise, an S-rank swordsman, Ayrton's finest blade. The wound is deep, blood on the workshop floor. The gray window flashes. +3 to defense. An S-rank strike. +3. Not enough. Because Aiden's sword is not like the Reaper's scythe. The Reaper struck to kill. Aiden strikes to punish. The intent is different. The damage is different. The conversion is different. Aiden strikes again, to the stomach, to the chest, to the face. Faster, more vicious. With every blow, his eyes grow colder. He doesn't scream. He doesn't growl. He strikes in silence, like he's doing a job. Kai stands there, blood on the floor, on his apron, on the walls. Every wound closes. Every blow is converted. +4, +5, +6. The system counts. The system accumulates, a quadratic scale. The longer it lasts, the faster it grows. Aiden strikes 10 times, 20. His technique is flawless. Every blow to a vulnerable spot. The neck, the liver, the heart, the spine. Blows that would kill anyone below A rank. Kai stands there, with a rag in his hands. Yuna hears the blows from behind the door. Her hand has gone white on the knife's handle. May, on the roof, presses her palms to her ears. Lena, in the back room, freezes with her eyes open. She counts the blows by the sound. Every blow is a wet sound, metal against flesh. She counts, and every count feels like a blow to her. On the 20th blow, Aiden's sword slashes into Kai's collarbone and stops. It doesn't go in, it doesn't cut. It stops, as if it had struck a wall instead of a person. Aiden presses down. The blade bends. Kai stands. On the 21st strike, Aiden's sword breaks. An S-rank blade. The finest steel from Ayrton, forged by the kingdom's best masters. It breaks against the collarbone of a skinny guy in an apron. A shard clatters across the floor. Aiden stands with the hilt in his hand. He's breathing heavily. For the first time in 10 years, he's scared. Kai looks at him. His face is covered in blood that's already drying. The wounds have healed. Every single one. The scars turn white on his skin and vanish before his eyes. Kai speaks softly, calmly, wearily. Aiden, I'm grateful, really. I just grew 6 times bigger. Want some more? Aiden takes a step back. Kai takes a step forward. 2 witnesses from the guild run away. The door slams. Yuna steps back and lets them pass. They run down Lower Ellsworth Street without looking back. Aiden is alone, in the workshop, without a sword, facing the man he killed a year ago, who stands before him alive, a rag in his hands. Kai bends down, picks up a shard of the sword, examines it. He runs his finger along the break in the steel. He speaks. Good steel. I'll reforge it. Make a horseshoe for someone. The horse will be pleased. And he smiles, widely, like a human. For the first time in his entire life. Not a smirk, not a polite grimace, a real smile. Like that of a man who has finally realized he is no longer afraid of the one standing before him. Aiden leaves, quickly, without looking back. His white cloak flashes in the doorway and vanishes. Kai stands in the workshop, alone, blood on the floor, a broken sword in one hand, a rag in the other. Lena comes out of the back room. Her face is pale, her hands are shaking. She walks over to Kai, looks at him, at the blood, at the apron, at his eyes. She doesn't ask anything. She just takes the teapot off the burner and pours 2 cups, sets them in front of him, sits down next to him. 2 spoons of sugar in hers, not a single one in his. They drink tea in the workshop, which smells of blood and metal, and they are silent, and that is enough. A month has passed since Aiden's escape. The capital is changing, not quickly, slowly, like the water in a river changes. On the outside, it's the same river. On the inside, it's already different. The 4 newspapers that published Sora's investigation didn't stop at just one story. They're digging deeper. The families of the dead tankers are filing complaints with the guild. 3 out of 7 families, the rest are afraid. But 3 is better than none. The guild orders an investigation into Silver Dawn, a formal one, for appearance's sake. But the very fact of the investigation is a crack in a wall that had been considered impenetrable for 10 years. Aiden Cale disappears from the public eye. No interviews, no photos, no smiles for the press. His press secretary says the leader of Silver Dawn is on a training retreat, preparing for a large-scale S-class fault sweep. Sora says that's a lie, that her source in the guild reports that Aiden hasn't left his residence in 3 weeks, that he's locked himself away and isn't seeing anyone. Kai is fixing a chair for an old man from the next block and listens to Sora. Then he says he feels sorry for Aiden. Sora drops her notebook. Yuna turns away from the door. Even May stops chewing her apple. Kai says that Aiden lived for 10 years in a world where his rules worked, where the strong are right, where a shield is a consumable, where the end justifies the body. And now the rules have broken down, and Aiden doesn't know how to live in a world where a damage sponge stares you in the eye and doesn't fall. Sora says that pity for a killer is a luxury. Kai says that it's not a luxury, it's a choice. He could hate Aiden. His system would only benefit from hatred. Every time someone hates Kai, his numbers potentially rise because hatred breeds blows, and blows breed power. But if Kai starts feeding the hatred within himself, he will become the one who provokes it. And whoever provokes hatred ceases to be human, becomes a function, becomes nameless. Kai doesn't explain this out loud. He doesn't know about the nameless yet, but he senses the rule, the way one senses the edge of a cliff in the dark. Kai registers the guild, officially. He goes to the guild hall in Middle City. For the first time in a year, he ascends from Lower Ellsworth. The city is different, cleaner, brighter. Ethereal lanterns glow with an even blue light. People are better dressed. Their ranks are higher. Kai stands in line at the guild hall, and the people around him look at his apron with oil stains, at his calloused hands, at his rank, which to them is F rank. No one says a word, but Kai feels it. Contempt doesn't need to be spoken. It hangs in the air like a smell. The official behind the counter looks at Kai's application. He says that to register a guild, at least one B-rank member is required. Kai says there are no B ranks in his guild. The official says that registration is then impossible. Kai says that according to the law of 1987, paragraph 14, clause 6, a workshop with verified repair activities can be registered as a service guild without rank restrictions, provided there are at least 5 permanent members and 1 verified order from an active guild. The clerk blinks. Kai places 5 IDs on the counter: his, Lena's, Yuna's, Charlie's, Ha-Un's, and 1 receipt. An order from a small guild in Lower Ellsworth for equipment repair. 10 copper coins. The official checks the documents, checks the law. The law exists. Paragraph 14, Section 6. No one remembers it because no one has ever used it. Kai uses it. The workshop guild is registered at noon on Wednesday in the presence of 1 witness, May, who stands next to Kai and holds his sleeve because there are a lot of people in the guild hall, and she doesn't like a lot of people. Kai goes out onto the street with the document in his hand. The guild hall's seal, golden. Official, the Workshop Guild, leader Kai Morgan, guild rank F. Kai folds the document, puts it in his pocket. He heads home. On the way, he buys a sack of potatoes for soup. Heavy. He carries it on his shoulder. May walks beside him and eats her 3rd apple in an hour. They're waiting for him at the workshop. Lena, Yuna, Charlie, Ha-Un, and Sora. who is already scribbling a note about the first F-rank guild in Ayrton's history. Kai sets down the sack of potatoes. He takes out the document. He places it on the workbench. Everyone is watching. Charlie says she's a blacksmith with the chef status in an F-rank guild, and that's the most absurd thing that's ever happened to her. Yuna says she's a demoted knight in a guild with no knights, and that's the most fitting thing that's ever happened to her. Ha-un silently takes the document. She looks at the seal. She runs her finger over it. She puts it back. Lena pours tea. 6 cups. 7. A small one for May. They sit in the workshop, drinking tea and saying nothing. And Kai thinks that for this moment alone, it was worth sitting on the 47th floor, covered in blood, and laughing. A week later, the first F-ranks arrive at the Workshop Guild with a request for a raid, a small rift on the outskirts of Lower Ellsworth, rank E. None of the big guilds are taking it on, too small, too cheap. Kai takes it on. He personally leads a group of 5 F-ranks into the rift. Yuna on the flank, Ha-in in the rear with a bow, May on reconnaissance up front. Lena is healing. Charlie stays in the workshop. Someone has to keep an eye on the mountain. An E-rank rift is 3 floors and weak monsters. For the big guilds, it's a warm-up. For F-ranks, it's death. Usually. Not today. Kai leads the way. Tank. It's his job. He takes every hit. Every hit is absorbed. Trivial. Scratches. But for the 5 F-ranks behind him, this is the first raid they're returning from without a single scratch. They emerge from the rift, all alive, all unharmed. One of them is crying. He's 43 years old, an F-rank tank, 20 years in the business, first raid without injury. Kai pats him on the shoulder, says that today's soup will have meat in it because they found a boar carcass in the rift. They head home, to the workshop. The soup really does have meat in it. It's still awful, but no one complains. Kai registered the Workshop Guild using a forgotten clause in the law. The first F-ranks went into the rift under his protection and returned without a single injury. Under pressure from the press and the families of the fallen tanks, Silver Dawn has lost public support. Aiden Kale has locked himself in his residence. The Workshop Guild has begun changing the rules of the game for low-ranking adventurers. At the end of the first year, Kai receives a letter. No return address, no seal. The courier brings it in the morning and leaves without saying a word. The envelope is plain. The paper is cheap. Inside is a single sheet. The handwriting is that of an old man, shaky. The letters lean to the right like trees after a storm. The text is short. If you're reading this, it means you're the 7th. I was the 6th. Come. The coordinates are in the mountains to the east, 4 days' journey from the capital. Kai reads the letter 3 times. He folds it, puts it in his pocket, goes to the workbench, works all day. Not a word to anyone. In the evening, when everyone goes to bed, Kai stays sitting at the workbench. Lena notices. She always notices. She sits down across from him, waits. Kai takes out the letter, puts it on the workbench. Lena reads it. She looks up. Kai says he doesn't know who it is, but he knows he has to go. Lena says she's going with him. Kai says no. Someone has to stay in the workshop. Lena has to heal. Yuna has to guard. Charlie has to forge. May has to be at home. Ha-un has to watch the perimeter. Sora has to write. The workshop can't stop. Lena is silent. Then she says one word. Come back. Kai says he'll come back. Lena says, not like last time. Kai understands. Blackspire. Last time, when he left with the team and returned alone, covered in blood. Kai says, not like last time. I promise. He leaves at dawn, alone, unarmed, in an apron, with a bag containing bread and a flask. 4 days on the road eastward, through fields, over a mountain pass, through the forest where monsters give him a wide berth because they sense him. Kai walks and thinks. The 6th carrier. So the system isn't unique. So there was someone before him. There was someone who also took the damage and grew and counted the blows and heard the voice inside whispering more, more, more. On the 4th day, Kai finds a hut. Small, stone, on a mountainside above the clouds, a vegetable garden nearby, goats, a well, and an old man. The old man sits on a rock by the door and waits, as if he knew when Kai would arrive. Maybe he did. The old man is over 80, gray hair, a beard down to his waist. His left arm is missing from the elbow down. His right leg won't bend. His face is so thickly covered in scars that no unmarked skin is visible. But his eyes are clear, dark, calm. He says, "Sit down." Kai sits on the rock opposite him. The old man's name is Ren, the 6th bearer of the return of Euron. He says he received the system 60 years ago, that he too was a tank, that was also a bag, that he too survived when he shouldn't have. He says that all 6 were the same. Tanks, low rank, betrayed by their own. Activation at the moment of death. A gray window, a square scale, silent mode, an echo of pain. Everything is the same, because all 7 are one person. Kai is silent. Ren continues. The first carrier came from another world, a world without magic. His name was Kai Morgan. He worked as a mechanic in a small workshop. He was killed by robbers for $20 in the cash register. He died thinking that he simply wanted to fix things for people. The gods of Ayrton heard that thought. They created a system. They set a cycle of 7 lives. Each carrier is a reincarnation of the first, a test for the world. If Ayrton is capable of raising such a person without breaking them, the world gets a second chance. If not, the gods reset everything. Kai sits on a rock, and his hands are growing cold. Ren says that the first 5 broke. The world broke them. People broke them. Hatred fed their power, and power fed the hatred, and in the end, they ceased to be human. They became the nameless, bosses without class in the rifts, the very ones they're finding now in the capital's dungeons. Ren says he himself almost broke. He lost an arm. He lost a leg. He lost everyone he loved. His system had grown him to a level where he could destroy the capital with a single blow. And one night, he stood on the city wall and thought about it, about that one blow. Then he turned and went into the mountains. He renounced the world, not the system, the world. That's the only thing that saved him from the transformation. Kai asks how to break the cycle. Ren is silent for a long time. The wind chases clouds around the mountain. Goats chew grass. Then Ren speaks. Give it up. At the moment when power is needed most. At the moment when, without it, you'll die. Give up the system. Voluntarily. For good. If the world sees that the bearer chooses to be a human rather than a weapon, the cycle will be broken. If not, Ren doesn't finish his sentence. He doesn't need to. Kai understands. If not, he will become the 7th nameless one, the last one, and the gods will erase Ertan like a draft. Kai sits on the mountain until sunset. Ren brings him goat's milk and bread. They are silent. Before leaving, Kai asks one thing. When? When will he know the moment has come? Ren says he'll know. Everyone knew, even those who broke. They knew too. They just chose power. Kai descends the mountain, 4 days back, through the forest, over the pass, across the fields. He walks and thinks about the locksmith from another world who died for $20 and just wanted to fix things for people. He walks and thinks about the 6 lives before him, about the 6 workshops that never were because the world wouldn't let them be built, about the 6 times he knelt down in front of a child with a broken toy, about the 6 times when that wasn't enough. On the morning of the 5th day, he enters Lower Ellsworth. The workshop is there. The sign is there. Morgan. I fix anything that's broken, except people. People take longer. Kai opens the door. Lena is standing at the workbench, in an apron, with a hammer. She's fixing a chair leg, crooked, badly, but she's fixing it. Kai stands in the doorway and watches her. Lena looks up. She sees him, drops the hammer, walks over, stands in front of him. Kai says, "I'm back, not like last time." Lena nods. Kai sits down at the workbench, picks up the chair, finishes the leg. Right, straight, just as it should be. The workshop smells of metal and tea. It's raining outside the window. May is sleeping in the corner. Yuna is by the door. Charlie is cursing at the horn. Ha-un is in the backyard, shooting at a target with her eyes closed. Everything is in place. Everything is as it should be. Kai opens the gray status window. He looks at the numbers that have grown over the year from 0 to figures that would give an archmage a heart attack. And he knows that one day he'll have to give them up. Every single number, every single plus, everything his system has accumulated over 22 years of pain. He closes the window. He picks up a hammer and continues to repair. Kai found Ren, the 6th bearer of the return of damage, in the mountains. He learned that all 7 bearers are reincarnations of a locksmith from another world. He learned that the cycle can be broken in only one way, by renouncing the system at the very moment it is needed most. The 5 before him could not do it. Ren survived only by fleeing the world. Kai returned to the workshop, fully aware of the price he would have to pay. Another year passes. The guild workshop is no longer a small shop in Lower Ellsworth. It's still in the same shop, with the same rusty anvil, with the same workbench, with the same teapot on the burner. But now, hundreds of people have passed through it. F-ranks who returned alive from the rift for the first time. Empty shells who heard for the first time that they weren't broken. Former spies who drank tea without an assignment for the first time. The workshop didn't change the world. It changed a corner, a block, a neighborhood, and the neighborhood began to change the city. The law on the rights of low-rank adventurers passed through Parliament, quietly, without fanfare, by a 12th vote out of 15. Now, F-ranks are entitled to medical care after raids, free of charge, just like everyone else. A small law, but Lena cried when she found out. Silver Dawn has been disbanded, not by Chem, by the Guild. An audit that began as a formality turned into an investigation. The investigation uncovered documents. The documents confirmed what Sora had been writing for 3 years. 7 tanks. 7 murders disguised as accidents. Aiden Kale is wanted. They haven't found him. He's vanished. Sora says that according to her intel, he went deep into the rift, alone, without a team. Kai hears this and remains silent. He knows where Aiden went. To the Black Spire Rift, to the 47th floor, to where it all began. Kai doesn't know why. Maybe he's looking for power. Maybe he's looking for death. Maybe he's looking for the answer to the question that has tormented him ever since the day the damage bag looked him in the eye and didn't fall. A month passes. Darkness begins to pour out of the black spire. Not a metaphor, real darkness. A black fog rising from the entrance to the rift and spreading through the streets. The monsters inside the rift are growing stronger, more aggressive. They are beginning to emerge to the surface, for the first time in 200 years. The Heroes Guild declares a state of emergency. It dispatches 3 A-rank teams. None return. On the 47th floor of the Black Spire, something has awakened. Something huge. Something without a name or a class. Nameless. Kai knows who it is. Aiden Kale descended into the rift, and the rift swallowed him. It didn't kill him, it remade him. The S-rank swordsman became something else, something that feeds on hatred for the world that betrayed him. Or that he betrayed. The difference has long since blurred. The guild asks for help. All the guilds, any. The kingdom promises a reward, a title, land, gold. No one is going, because no one returns from the Black Spire. Kai stands in the workshop in the morning and looks at the black fog outside the window. He knows this is his moment, the very one, the one Ren spoke of, the moment when the system is needed most, the moment when, without it, he will die. The moment of choice. He gathers everyone, Lena, Yuna, May, Charlie, Haun, Sora. 7 people in a workshop that smells of metal and tea. Kai says he's going to the Black Spire. Alone. Yuna says no. Kai says it's not up for discussion. Yuna stands up. Her hand is on the knife. Her eyes are burning. She says a knight doesn't let his master go alone. Kai says she's not a knight. She's a master, and a master is needed here. Yuna is silent. She sits down. Her shoulders are shaking. May approaches Kai. She pulls from her bosom the knife he made for her, a small one, with a dark wooden handle. She holds it out to him. Kai takes the knife. He looks at May. May speaks softly. It's mine, but now it's yours, because you'll bring it back. Kai tucks the knife into his pocket. Charlie approaches. She presses a bundle into his hands. Inside is a spearhead. Small. Perfect. She made it last night, not for a job, for him. Kai looks at the spearhead. Charlie says it's the best thing she's ever made, and if he loses it, she'll smash his head flat like a blank. Kai smiles. Haun is the last to approach. She doesn't give him anything. She doesn't say anything. She just puts her hand on his shoulder, holds it for 3 seconds, takes it away. That's enough. Sora stands by the door with a notebook. She says she'll write about him, no matter what happens. Kai says he hopes it will be a boring article. Sora says, "Don't get your hopes up, Mr. Morgan." Lena is the last to arrive. She doesn't approach him. She stands by the workbench. Her hands grip the edges of her apron. Kai walks over to her. Lena says, 2 spoons of sugar. Kai freezes. Lena says, "When you get back, I'll pour you some tea. With 2 spoons. You always drink it without sugar. But just this once is okay." Kai nods. He turns around. He leaves. He walks out of the workshop onto the street of Lower Ellsworth. Black fog creeps across the pavement. People have hidden in their homes. It's quiet, like before a storm. Kai walks toward the Black Spire rift. Alone, in an apron, unarmed, with a small May knife in his pocket and a chin. The entrance to the rift breathes darkness. Kai enters. He descends, floor by floor. The monsters part. They sense him, but they are not afraid. The darkness on the lower floors is thick as water. Kai walks through it. His gray status window flickers. The numbers are enormous. Over 2 years, the system has accumulated enough that Kai can withstand a blow that would shatter a mountain. The 47th floor. Kai steps into the hall where, a year ago, he lay with a broken spine. Where the system was activated. Where it all began. In the center of the hall stands the Nameless One. Not Aiden, no longer Aiden. Something higher, broader, darker. Armor made of bones has fused with his skin. His eyes burn with a cold blue light, the same color as before, Aiden Kyle's blue eyes. The only thing left of the man. The Nameless One turns to Kai, and Kai feels it. Hatred. Pure, absolute. Hatred for the world that created the ranking system and decided that some people are worth more than others. Hatred for the man who believed in this system and broke when it betrayed him. Hatred that feeds the Nameless One as blood feeds the heart. Kai's gray window. The system is ready. Every blow from the Nameless One will yield a gain, a massive one, a quadratic scale. One blow from a creature of this level, and Kai will become invincible, literally, forever. All he has to do is stand there. As always, take the blows. Count. Wait until the numbers cross the threshold, and then the Nameless One will crumble, just as the Reaper crumbled, and Kai will return home, to the workshop, for tea with 2 spoons of sugar. So simple, so familiar. The Nameless One strikes. A fist of bone and darkness slams into Kai's chest. Pain explodes inside. The gray window flashes. Plus 12 to defense. 1 blow, 12. More than 20 blows from Aiden the human. The Nameless One strikes again. Plus 15. More. Plus 19. A quadratic scale, growing with every blow. Kai stands, takes it, counts, and feels the system singing inside him. Finally, a real enemy, real pain, real growth. Kai closes his eyes and sees. 6 lives before him, 6 workshops that never were. 6 times when he stood just like this, taking the blows, growing, and each time choosing strength. Every time he told himself 1 more blow, 1 more, and another, until he ceased to be human, until he became the one from whom he took the blows. The 6th wren stopped at the last moment and ran away. The 5 before him didn't stop. Kai opens his eyes. The Nameless One swings his fist. Kai raises his hand, not to block, to touch. His fingers touch the Nameless One's bone armor, an echo of pain. And Kai sees. He sees Aiden, not the Nameless One, the boy, 12 years old, skinny, scared, standing before his mentor, a tank mentor. Big, kind. Telling Aiden that a shield is more important than a sword. That the one who stands in front and takes the blow is the bravest person. Aiden listens, believes. Then the world explains something else to him. The world says that an S-rank swordsman is worth more than an A-rank tank. That rewards are given for killing the boss, not for surviving. That history is written by heroes, not shields. And Aiden, slowly, year after year, forgets his mentor's words. And one day he kills him, to take his place. And every time Aiden sends another tank to their death, somewhere deep inside, a 12-year-old boy screams. But Aiden hasn't heard him in a long time. Kai lowers his hand, tears on his face. Not from pain, from what he saw. Nameless freezes. His blue eyes flicker. Kai speaks softly. Aiden I know you're there. I know you can hear me. Nameless doesn't move. Kai says, "You've broken. Not because you're weak, because the world told you the shield doesn't matter, and you believed it." The Nameless One growls, a sound that makes stones crack. Kai doesn't back down. Kai opens the gray status window. He looks at the numbers. Huge, impossible. 2 years of pain, hundreds of blows, thousands of points of growth. A power that can destroy anything. Kai taps the damage return line and chooses. Deactivate. The gray window flickers. It flashes. Text appears in small font. Confirm system deactivation. This action is irreversible. All accumulated stats will be reset. Kai confirms. The window goes dark. Quiet. Soundless. Lightless. It simply vanishes, as if it had never been there. The numbers reset to 0. Defense 6. Attack 4. F rank. Real. No silent mode. No deception. Just F rank. Just Kai Morgan. Just a man in an apron. The Nameless One stands before him, a creature that could kill him with a single snap. Kai stands before him without a system, without power, without anything. With May's small knife in one pocket and Charlie's tip in the other, and with the understanding that this is right. That power that feeds on pain is not power. That a man who stands on his own 2 feet without a system stands stronger than one who stands on numbers. The Nameless One raises his fist. Kai doesn't close his eyes. He looks straight ahead, into the blue eyes that once belonged to a boy who believed that a shield is more important than a sword. And the fist stops. An inch from Kai's face. Silence. Long. Like a breath before a newborn's first cry. The Nameless One lowers his hand. The bone armor cracks. It crumbles. Beneath it, skin. Human. Pale. Covered in scars. The blue eyes dim. They become ordinary. Human. Tired. Aiden Kale stands before Kai Morgan on the 47th floor of the Black Spire. Naked. Beaten. Broken. Alive. He falls to his knees, not from weakness, from the weight of everything he's done for 10 years. Kai sits down in front of him, on one knee, like a blacksmith before a commission, like he used to sit before the girl with the broken doll, just as he had sat for 6 lifetimes in a row before those who were broken. Aiden looks at him. His lips move. He says one word. Why? Kai thinks. Then he says, "Because I fix everything that's broken. Even people. It just takes longer with people." Aiden closes his eyes. Kai takes off his apron. He drapes it over Aiden's shoulders. He stands up. He holds out his hand. Aiden looks at the hand for a long time. Then he takes it. They climb up from the 47th floor together, slowly, floor by floor. 2 people. One in an apron that is no longer his, the other in an apron that doesn't belong to him. The monsters step aside, not because they're afraid, because something has changed in the rift. The darkness dissipates, the black fog melts away, light seeps in from above. They emerge onto the surface. The sun. Morning. People are standing in front of the entrance to the rift. Lena, Yuna, May, Charlie, Haun, Sora. And behind them, half the neighborhood of Lower Ellsworth. They've been waiting all night. Lena sees Kai. She sees Aiden. She sees the apron on his shoulders. She doesn't ask. She walks over, takes Kai by the hand, leads him home, to the workshop. Yuna picks up Aiden, who can't walk on his own, who weighs twice as much as she does, whom she leads in silence because a knight carries even those he hates. The workshop, the workbench, the anvil, burner, teapot. Lena puts the teapot on. She takes out 2 cups, pours, 2 spoons of sugar in each. Kai takes a cup, drinks. Sweet, unfamiliar, just right. May approaches, reaches out her hand. Kai takes her knife out of his pocket, hands it over. May hides it in her bosom, quickly, like one hides something valuable. Charlie checks the other pocket. The tip is still there. He says that if he'd lost it, he doesn't finish. He turns away. Her eyes gleam suspiciously. Ha-un stands by the wall. He looks at Kai, nods. Once. That's enough. Sora sits in the corner, writing. The pen Kai fixed flies across the paper. She doesn't look up. She's writing a story. Not about a hero, about a craftsman. Kai sits at the workbench. His status is F rank, real, forever. The system is gone. The gray window has gone dark. The numbers have reset to 0. He is once again who he was. A skinny guy with calluses on his hands and the ability to fix things. Nothing more. And that is enough. Somewhere high above Ertan, something that has been looking down with interest for 1,000 years is looking down for the first time in 1,000 years with something else. With warmth. The cycle is broken. Not by force, not by a sword, not by the system, by choice. A small, quiet choice made by a man in an apron who decided that fixing things for people was more important than being invincible. The workshop smells of metal and tea. There were 3 orders on the workbench for today: a cracked shield, a bent helmet, a wooden doll. Kai takes the first order, the shield. He examines it. He asks himself which hand the owner holds it with. The left, so he needs to reinforce the left edge. He picks up a hammer. He taps the anvil. The ringing of metal echoes through the workshop, down the street, through the neighborhood, steady, rhythmic, like a heartbeat. Lena pours a second mug.